Todd Whitman here, HVAC Business Academy. Today we're going to talk about effective and efficient residential replacement. Now, before we begin, it would be a good idea for you to download your manual. It looks something like this. By just clicking the tab below, you should be able to download this and follow along. You know, several years ago, I ran a mid-sized heating and air conditioning company in the Midwest. We had about 5 full-time replacement crews, and it was managed chaos. Absolutely nuts. There wasn't a day that went by that things didn't get out of control, a job didn't get finished on time, the salesperson didn't document everything we were supposed to do, the guys didn't have what they needed on their truck. It was a mess. So I called a few of my friends that were in the business that ran well-oiled machines. I learned an awful lot, and we turned that company around within 12 months. I'm here today to share those tips with you, and hopefully it'll help. So the first thing, understand the importance of having everything visible. Now what I mean by that is have an installation board. Along the left-hand side of the board, you have your crews. Across the top, the weekly schedule, Monday through Friday. On the bottom left, you'll see that there is a revenue goal and actual revenue. That way we can keep track of what's going on. On the right-hand side of the board, you'll see we have our month-to-date target and our month-to-date actual. So this board has to be kept up to date. If we sell enough work at the right price and we manage our labor to the price, you're going to be profitable. This board is all about managing those resources, our valuable resources of labor, and making certain that we're maximizing the opportunities there. The biggest mistake I've found and personally have done and practiced myself in the past is that I would manage that install board to fill the schedule. Well, that's doomsday. You manage that install board to ensure that every block on that board is scheduled to meet or exceed the minimum installed revenue benchmarks. That will drive better decisions that'll focus on affecting the business. So, calculating revenue per crew day. First of all, the first 2 things we want to do is if you have a 2-person crew, your highest paid lead install technician plus your highest paid apprentice install technician. In this example, it is $35. Okay? Now, hourly crew pay is $35. Now, we know that the effective budgeting for residential replacement labor is anywhere from 6 to 10%. In this example, we're going to use 8%. So we take $35 per hour, divided by 8%, we come up with $437.50. Okay? $437.50 per crew hour. Now, times an 8-hour day, that's where we come up with $3,500. As we start filling in our schedule of jobs that are sold, the production job information we want to have is we want to have the name, the salesperson, the address, and the phone number if it's there. We also want to know how much the job sold for as well. Okay? The next thing is real valuable. I found out as the journey of the 12 months went in cash flow and collecting and things. We want to know the method of payment. If it was financed, put financed, and I always put paperwork and documents, PWD. That triggered the install team to make sure to look for those documents and get all the paperwork signed before they left. If it was a COD, we just put COD and then the balance. So the install crew knew that they were expected to collect that much at the end of the job. Okay. First of all, when the install team comes, they should check everything off before it goes on the truck to ensure that they have everything that they need. Once they arrive on the job by 9, the lead installation technician should be contacting you by 9 o'clock to let you know if they have everything they need to complete the job. If they do, put a check mark over the 9. If they don't and they need something else, put a circle because we have an open issue that needs to be resolved. And then when you solve it and have the materials on their way, put a check mark. That way if it's 10 o'clock, the production crew is wondering what's going on. You can look up there and say, yep, we had an issue, but it looks like they're on their way. All right? By 11 o'clock, we want to do another check-in. Have the materials been delivered? Yes or no? Check. If they haven't, open, find out where it's at. If the problem's resolved, put a check mark. At that point, you'll want to double check to make sure that they're going to get the job finished and they have everything they need. So you can support those guys in the field and get them the resources they need. It's very expensive to have these guys running to the supply house or getting off the job and going back to the shop to fabricate things when somebody can drop it off to them. Or we could figure out a different way to manage that. Okay? And then finally, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, what we'll want to do is say, will the job be completed? Check. If it's not, put an open issue. Either they need additional support to get it done. That way, whether it's a maintenance technician, service technician, whoever frees up early, we can get them out there to help get the job tightened up, because that's going to drive tomorrow's schedule. We're filling that schedule up to make sure we hit our revenue targets every day instead of just filling the schedule, remember. And then when we have solved that problem, we put a check mark in that circle. The next morning when that folder comes in, you check, yep, we have payment, so you put a check mark. Uh-oh, we couldn't collect for whatever issue. We know there's an open issue and get our money. So we want to make that open issue closed. So it's there, it's visible, everybody sees it. The people that are accountable to get it resolved know that they need to get it resolved within a certain timeline. Everybody's aware. No surprises. And when it's collected, check mark. Now, when this board goes up, as you can see, we have 1 day completed. You see where the holes are, right? We have one job where we, for whatever reason, did not collect. Let's find out why. What happened? It could have been something on the sales side, lack of communication. Maybe they didn't fill out the paperwork. Maybe it was on the production side where they didn't deliver the paperwork. Or maybe it was a miscommunication with the customer. These things are going to show up, and we're going to find patterns. And as we start fixing these along the way, when they happen, instead of 3 or 4 months later, when they show up on a financial statement, you're going to see meaningful results really fast. The other thing we notice is that, you know what, crew number 1 in the morning, for whatever reason, didn't have everything that they needed. We had to ship parts out to them. Why? Just take a look at that folder and find out what's going on. Was it not communicated properly from the sales department? Did the crew not review all of the materials before it went out? Or was there a problem in receiving or shipping from our distributor? Get these problems tightened up. When you find one consistent pattern, that a sales rep isn't providing the necessary information, or a crew leader isn't checking to make sure they received everything before it goes on the truck, or for whatever reason all the materials weren't shipped and delivered, you can get that fixed. It'll save you a ton of money, and you'll improve your efficiency and profitability immediately. So these small little tasks every day make a huge difference. So when we take a look at this schedule, day 1 looks pretty good because the revenue goal is $10,500 and actual was $13,500. That's a great day. Tuesday, it looks like we have $10,500 that's our benchmark, but only $9,000 scheduled. You know, the thing that disturbs me about this, though, is there are openings in that schedule. 3 of them. Look at that. Crew number 2 on Tuesday and crew number 1 and 2 on Wednesday are openings. The goal is to schedule to meet or exceed our daily install revenue budget. That's the goal, and that's what we manage the schedule to manage labor to the price. You know, folks, you're never, ever going to be able to go back and recapture a lost day of production. Keep that in mind. So a couple of things that we could do here is just shift the schedule. That looks much better, doesn't it? Look at that. We have 11,500 scheduled and 10,500 is our target. And then on a Wednesday, you know, we've got one more spot open. Now, as we move along, on Tuesday, we see we have, you know what, that crew number 2, there's another opening. I got to find out what's going on with these finance jobs. Isn't that great? Look at this. Within 5 seconds, you can find out the big issues within your entire installation team, where the problems were, and immediately take care of it the very next day. Okay, so we go into Wednesday. Let's go and see what we have in store for Thursday. I'm missing some scheduled revenue. When you take a closer look, we take a look at this Thursday and Friday job on crew number 3. That's 2 half-day jobs. A minimum $3,500 is 1 crew day. That's the minimum acceptable revenue that'll go in 1 block. If I have $1,200, that's a half a day. That's a filler day after a job. We have to manage this so that we fill that block up and maximize productivity. The better thing to do here is to split those jobs right there. Here's the morning job, here's the afternoon job. Manage the schedule to meet or exceed the minimum installed revenue per day. This board will give you visibility and help you do that. As you pick up your HVAC Academy Operational Effectiveness Workbook, the last few pages of this will give you some things to look into. Any job with a circle time spot should be reviewed. If the material was due to a lack of information from the salesperson, if material needed was due to the job not being completely pulled and staged, or weekly productivity review, and how to review and pull that sales team and production team together so we can get better communication the very next day. So folks, I hope this segment was helpful to you. If you have any questions, get a hold of us. This installation board literally changed the lives of my entire team and myself, reducing stress, maximizing profitability, and everybody knew their expectation before they set on that job. So, with that, look for those gaps, tighten it up, work it out, and you will be in a position to make it happen.